Lovely viewers, imagine a wedding meant to celebrate love, healing, and new beginnings suddenly turning into a nightmare that leaves two of the most beloved stars in Asia on their knees, begging the public for help. That is the storm currently shaking the internet as Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo trend worldwide over what fans are calling the missing twins wedding night tragedy. Picture this for a moment. The atmosphere was supposed to be magical. A long-awaited private wedding, whispered about for months, finally happening far away from flashing cameras. Soft lights, close friends, trusted staff, and a promise to keep everything intimate and safe. Fans believed this night would mark the end of years of rumors and the beginning of a peaceful chapter for Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo. But somewhere between the celebration and the quiet hours of the night, everything reportedly changed. According to viral accounts spreading like wildfire online, the couple's twin children were suddenly nowhere to be found on what should have been the happiest night of their parents' lives. No official confirmation at first. No press release. Just silence. And sometimes, silence is louder than any headline. Fans noticed something was wrong when both Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo failed to post even a single celebratory message after the wedding. No smiling photos. No thank you notes. Nothing. Instead, hours later, cryptic messages began appearing. Messages filled with fear, desperation, and heartbreak. Viewers, imagine being in their place. One moment you're celebrating love, vows, and family. The next, you're searching rooms, calling names, questioning everyone you trust. Reports claim the joy of the wedding night dissolved into chaos as security was alerted. Guests were questioned, and panic quietly took over the venue. The words missing and twins are enough to freeze any parent's heart. Fans say this is exactly why Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo's alleged emotional breakdown shook people so deeply. What truly stunned the public was what happened next. Instead of hiding behind agencies or legal teams, the couple reportedly chose the unthinkable path. They begged the public for help. Not as celebrities, not as untouchable stars, but as terrified parents. A voice message attributed to Lee Min-ho spread rapidly, with fans claiming they could hear his voice crack as he pleaded for privacy, prayers, and any information. Song Hye Kyo, usually so composed and elegant, was said to be inconsolable, reportedly breaking down in tears and asking anyone with knowledge to come forward. Pause here, lovely viewers. How often do we see stars stripped of their glamour like this? How often do we see fame offer no protection at all? Social media instantly exploded. Hashtags demanding answers trended across platforms. Fans began replaying old interviews, searching for clues, wondering if there had been threats, stalkers, or warning signs that everyone missed. Some questioned whether the twins were ever meant to be present at the wedding at all. Others speculated about security breaches, trusted insiders, or even misunderstandings blown out of proportion by panic. But through all the noise, one thing remained painfully clear. Something had gone terribly wrong. What made the situation even more emotional was the alleged reaction of close friends and family. Sources claimed relatives were flown in immediately, while others cancelled schedules to stand by the couple's side. Industry insiders reportedly described the atmosphere as heavy with fear, with no one daring to celebrate while the twins were still unaccounted for. Fans began lighting virtual candles, posting prayers, and sharing messages of hope across comment sections, refusing to believe the worst. And then came the moment that truly broke hearts. A short, unverified message attributed to Song Hye Kyo circulated online, saying she was no longer thinking as an actress, but only as a mother. Those words alone were enough to silence even the loudest rumor mills. Viewers, can you feel the weight of that sentence? In that moment, titles, awards, and fame meant absolutely nothing. As hours reportedly passed with no clear answers, theories multiplied. Some fans insisted the twins were safely hidden and that panic had spread too quickly. Others feared a darker reality. The lack of immediate official statements only fueled the fire, leaving the public torn between hope and dread. And in the middle of it all were two people who once made millions believe in fairy tale love, now facing the cruelest uncertainty any parent can imagine. What's especially haunting is how this story has changed the way fans see celebrity life. Many admitted they'd never felt so close to stars they'd admired from afar. Comments poured in saying, "This could happen to anyone," and "Fame can't protect you from pain." For perhaps the first time, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo weren't symbols of romance or perfection. They were reflections of every parent's worst fear. Lovely viewers, as this story continues to unfold, one question hangs heavy in the air. Will this nightmare end in relief, or will it leave scars that never fully heal? Fans across the world are holding on to hope, praying that this chapter concludes with the twins safe and reunited with their parents. Until then, the silence, the tears, and the desperate pleas remain etched in the hearts of everyone watching. And as that fragile hope flickered across the world, something quietly shifted in the atmosphere surrounding Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo. The panic did not vanish, but it transformed. What began as fear slowly turned into a collective vigil, as millions of people who had never met the couple felt emotionally bound to them in a way that went beyond fandom. It was no longer about celebrity news. It was about humanity, about parents waiting for answers, and about a world holding its breath together. In the hours that followed, fans noticed subtle but telling changes. Online activity from people close to the couple slowed almost to a stop. Normally chatty insiders went silent. Schedules were abruptly cleared. Advertisers paused announcements out of respect. Even rival fandoms, usually divided by petty wars, came together in an unusual show of unity. Messages appeared saying, "This is bigger than stan culture. And tonight, we are all just human beings praying for children to be safe." That alone spoke volumes. Lovely viewers, imagine the weight of knowing the entire world is watching your pain, dissecting your silence, interpreting every breath you take. And yet, despite that pressure, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo reportedly made one powerful decision that changed the tone of everything. They chose transparency over secrecy. Not total exposure, but enough openness to calm fear and redirect the narrative away from wild speculation. A brief message, allegedly approved by both families, began circulating among fan communities. Did not give details. Did not assign blame. It simply asked for patience, compassion, and continued prayers while authorities and trusted individuals worked quietly behind the scenes. That message alone softened the harshest rumors. People began reminding each other that behind the headlines were two children who deserved safety and dignity, not conspiracy theories. What touched many hearts was how Song Hye Kyo was described during this time. Friends allegedly shared that she refused to rest, pacing endlessly, replaying every moment of the wedding day in her mind. Was there a sound she missed? A detail she overlooked? A smile that now felt like a warning sign? Mothers in the comments said they felt her pain as if it were their own. Some admitted they hugged their own children tighter that night, shaken by the story. Lee Min-ho, on the other hand, was described as outwardly calm but internally shattered. Those who claimed to have seen him said he spoke very little, choosing instead to listen, to observe, to stay close to his wife. Fans noticed this contrast and praised him for being a pillar when everything felt like it was collapsing. Many commented that this crisis revealed a different kind of strength, not the heroic kind he plays on screen, but the quiet strength of a father refusing to fall apart in front of the person he loves most. As the night stretched into morning, exhaustion mixed with fear. Yet something unexpected happened. A wave of credible information began to surface, not from gossip accounts, but from people urging caution. They suggested that the word "missing" might not mean what everyone feared. Some proposed that the twins had been moved to a secure location as a precaution, and that miscommunication fueled the panic. Others said there were safety protocols in place that had temporarily separated the parents from their children, causing confusion and emotional distress. Lovely viewers, this is where emotions clashed with logic. On one side were terrified fans imagining worst-case scenarios. On the other were voices urging everyone to slow down, to breathe, to remember that not every frightening rumor reflects reality. The tension between fear and hope became almost unbearable. Then came a moment that many described as the emotional turning point. A new message appeared, brief but powerful, thanking the public for their concern and stating that the situation was moving toward clarity. No celebration. No relief yet. But clarity. That single word ignited cautious optimism across the internet. Candle emojis were replaced with folded hands and hearts. Comments shifted from panic to encouragement. People began saying, "We believe," and "Hold on, you're not alone." What followed was a collective lesson in empathy. Fans started calling out others who were exploiting the story for clicks. They reminded each other that trauma is not entertainment. Some even unsubscribed from channels spreading fear-based speculation. For a community often accused of being toxic, this moment showed growth, maturity, and compassion. As time passed, subtle signs of relief reportedly began to emerge. Close associates were seen entering and leaving the private residence with expressions that were no longer purely grim. A trusted family friend was overheard telling someone, "They're holding on." Those words, though vague, sent waves of cautious hope through the fanbase. People clung to them like lifelines. Song Hye Kyo's strength during this period became a source of inspiration. Fans revisited her past interviews where she spoke about resilience, healing after heartbreak, and choosing love despite pain. Suddenly, those words felt prophetic. Comment sections filled with messages like, "She survived before, she will survive this," and "If anyone can face this with grace, it's her." Lee Min-ho's past also resurfaced in a new light. Fans recalled his charitable work with children and disaster relief, noting how deeply he values family and responsibility. Many said this crisis revealed why the couple connected so deeply, not because of fame, but because of shared values rooted in compassion and protection. Lovely viewers, something else happened that deserves attention. Parents from around the world began sharing their own stories. Stories of momentary separation, hospital scares, misplaced children in crowded places, and the terror that followed. These stories created a powerful reminder that fear does not discriminate. Whether you're a global superstar or an everyday parent, the panic feels the same. In that sense, this story transcended celebrity culture and became a mirror reflecting universal parental fear. As the day unfolded, more voices urged patience. Legal experts explained that in sensitive situations involving children, information is often withheld deliberately to prevent harm. Mental health advocates reminded everyone that prolonged public pressure can worsen trauma for families already in crisis. Slowly, the noise softened. The conversation matured. And then, quietly, without fanfare, hope strengthened its grip. Reports began circulating that the twins were safe, though not yet publicly reunited with their parents due to ongoing procedures. No photos, no proof, just repeated reassurance from those urging calm. For some fans, this was enough. Tears of relief replaced tears of fear. Others remained cautious, refusing to celebrate until confirmation came directly from the couple. What made this period especially emotional was the way Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo reportedly leaned into each other. Sources claimed they barely left each other's side, drawing strength from shared silence more than words. Fans found this deeply moving, seeing their relationship not as a fairy tale romance, but as a partnership tested by real-world pain. They deserve compassion, and that compassion began to ripple outward in ways few could have predicted. In the quiet that followed those calls for kindness, something almost sacred took shape. The online world, usually restless and impatient, slowed down. Posts became softer. Words became gentler. Even silence, once interpreted as fear, started to feel like respect. People began to understand that not every story needs instant answers, and not every pain should be rushed toward closure. For Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, that pause mattered more than any trending hashtag. Behind closed doors, the emotional toll reportedly deepened before it eased. Those close to the couple described moments when hope surged, only to be followed by crushing waves of anxiety. It wasn't a straight path toward relief. It was a winding, exhausting journey filled with waiting. Waiting for calls. Waiting for confirmation. Waiting for the moment when their hearts could finally rest. Parents watching this story said the waiting was the most realistic and painful part, that endless stretch of time where imagination becomes your worst enemy. Song Hye Kyo, according to those near her, began speaking less and listening more. She reportedly held onto small rituals to keep herself grounded, clasping her hands together, whispering prayers, repeating the twins' names under her breath. Fans noticed that even in old photos, her expressions now carried new meaning. Smiles once seen as glamorous now looked protective, maternal, deeply human. Mothers across cultures recognized that look instantly. It was the look of someone whose world revolves around two fragile lives. Lee Min-ho's coping took a different shape. Friends claimed he focused intensely on practical matters, insisting on being present for every update, every step, every decision. Yet in private moments when no one was watching, he reportedly broke down. This contrast, strength in public, vulnerability in private, resonated deeply with many fathers who said they'd lived that same emotional split. They praised him not for being unshaken, but for feeling deeply and still standing. Lovely viewers, this chapter of the story also revealed something profound about love. Not the cinematic love people usually project onto celebrity couples, but the quieter, sturdier kind. The kind that doesn't need words. The kind that shows up at 3 a.m. with shaking hands and tired eyes. The kind that says, "I'm here," even when there is nothing else to say. Observers noted that the couple's bond seemed to harden, not crack, under pressure. As days passed, the world outside continued moving. Schedules resumed, headlines shifted, but for this family, time felt suspended. Each hour was measured not by clocks, but by emotional endurance. Fans began marking time differently too, saying things like, "Day 3 of praying," or "Still holding hope." It became less about news and more about solidarity. Then came another subtle shift. People close to the situation reportedly began using a new word. Reuniting. Not yet reunited, but reuniting, a process, not a moment. That distinction mattered. It suggested care, caution, and an understanding that healing doesn't happen instantly, even when fear begins to fade. Fans who had been holding their breath allowed themselves the smallest exhale. Song Hye Kyo's emotional strength during this phase left a lasting impression. Sources claimed she insisted on being emotionally prepared for any outcome, not as pessimism, but as a form of protection. "Hope with courage," one insider reportedly described it. That phrase echoed across comment sections, with viewers reflecting on how often hope is portrayed as blind optimism, when in reality, it often walks hand in hand with fear. Lee Min-ho, meanwhile, was said to have expressed gratitude repeatedly, to staff, to friends, to people who offered quiet support rather than loud speculation. That gratitude struck fans as deeply moving. In moments of crisis, acknowledging kindness becomes a way of surviving. Many viewers admitted this story made them reevaluate how they respond to other people's pain online. Lovely viewers, there was also a reckoning happening beneath the surface. Conversations emerged about privacy, about the cost of fame, about the vulnerability of children born into the public eye. Parents asked hard questions. How much protection is enough? How much exposure is too much? Fans began saying they would respect boundaries more, realizing that love for public figures should never come at the expense of their children's safety. As the situation continued moving toward resolution, a quiet sense of unity lingered. Even people who had never followed Lee Min-ho or Song Hye Kyo before found themselves emotionally invested. It wasn't about who they were, but what they represented in that moment. Parents navigating uncertainty, love tested by fear, humanity laid bare. Reports suggested that when reassurance finally grew stronger, it didn't arrive with celebration. There were no dramatic announcements, no triumphant declarations. Instead, there was relief tinged with exhaustion. The kind of relief that leaves you weak in the knees, grateful but shaken. Fans who anticipated joyful updates instead found themselves appreciating the quiet. Sometimes silence is not absence. It's recovery. Song Hye Kyo was reportedly seen resting for the first time in days. Her body finally allowing itself to slow down. Lee Min-ho, described as visibly drained, stayed close, refusing to let distance grow between them even for a moment. Those details, though small, spoke volumes. Trauma does not end when fear lifts. It lingers, reshapes you. Lovely viewers, this story has already left a permanent mark. Not because of shock, but because of empathy. Because it reminded us that behind curated images and polished performances are people whose hearts break and heal just like ours. It challenged audiences to consume stories more responsibly, to ask not just what happened, but how does this affect them? As conversations evolved, many fans began sharing messages not of excitement, but of understanding. Take your time. We're here when you're ready. Your family comes first. Those words may never reach Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo directly, but they matter. They shape the environment surrounding recovery. And perhaps that is the most meaningful outcome of this entire ordeal. Not the answers, not the closure, but the shift in collective behavior. A reminder that compassion is not passive. It's an active choice. To wait, to listen, to protect rather than consume. Lovely viewers, as we stand at this point in the story, we are reminded that healing is not linear. There may still be moments of silence, moments of withdrawal, moments that feel confusing. And that's okay. Trauma doesn't follow a script, and neither should our expectations. If there is one lasting lesson here, it is this. Love is loud in celebration, but it is quiet in crisis. It shows up in patience, in restraint, in the decision to care without demanding access. And right now, that quiet love is exactly what this family needs. So as we move forward together, let us carry this moment with us, not as gossip, but as a reminder of our shared humanity. Let us continue choosing empathy over assumption, kindness over curiosity, and respect over noise. Because when the story finally settles, what will matter most is not how quickly we knew the ending, but how gently we treated the people living through it.